In this lesson video, we are going to add materials to the monkey head model as we discussed in the previous challenge video. After that, we will create a camera and then render it using Eevee rendering engine. Let's start by fixing the surface smoothing of the model, because currently the model looks faceted due to the flat shading mode. So select the object and then right click and then choose Shade Smooth here. Now the model is over smoothed. For example, these edges should be sharp and these edges also. Let's fix this using the auto smooth method. We can see the model looks a bit better now, as we have these edges and these edges sharp, but these areas in the head have too many sharp edges. Let's try increasing the auto smooth threshold value. I think 45 degrees should do it. You can spend more time refining the smoothing group using the edge sharpness method, but for now, I consider this good enough for the purpose of our project. Next, let's add some materials. Go to the Material Properties panel and make sure we are in the Look Dev mode so we can preview the material in the viewport. Notice when an object doesn't have any material yet, Blender will actually use this white material. Let's click the New Material button. And first, we want to create the material for the main head surface, because this material covers the majority of the surface in the model. Now, before we rename the material, notice the UI area is too narrow. So let's resize it a bit so we have more room to work. Okay, rename this material to monkey.head. Change the base color to dark brown color. You can see that currently the material is too glossy. Well, at least for a monkey head. To fix this, just increase the roughness value until all the way to 1. This will remove all of the speculars from the surface. Next, let's focus on the eyes. For this, let's create a new material slot and then create a new material. Rename the material to eyes.white. For the color, I think the current color is already correct. For the roughness, we want the eyes to be glossy. So let's turn down this roughness value to around 0.2. Now, if you need to preview the material, but you don't have the material in the scene or in the viewport yet, we can use the material preview section up here. We can see the specular here, but I think we need more of it. Let's revise the roughness value to about 0.1. And, okay, I think it looks better now. We can close the preview section for now, because it takes a lot of space in the UI. Now, to assign the material to the eye faces, press Tab to go to the Edit mode, and press 3 to go to the Face mode. Next, to select these eyes, we can hover over one of the faces in the eye area, and then press L. And press L again on the left side. Now we have these eyes selected. As you can see, we need to work on the eyes. But these eyeglasses are blocking the view. We can hide all unselected faces by pressing Shift-H. In case you forget, you can access this command from the Mesh menu up here. Then look for the Show Hide submenu item. You can see the Hide Unselected command here. Okay. Now because we already have the eyes faces selected, we can click the Assign button here. Now we have the eyes with the correct material. Next, for the black eyes, we need to select the center faces here. You can select the faces manually, or you can do this faster by going to the vertex mode. Select this center vertex, hold Shift, and then select this vertex. Then you can hold Ctrl and press the plus symbol in the numpad several times. This will grow the selection. If you want to shrink the selection, you can hold Ctrl and then press minus symbol in the numpad. After we have the correct faces selected through the use of vertex selection and grow method, we can continue creating the material. Create a new slot and a new material. Rename the material to eye.black. Change the base color to black. And reduce the roughness to 0.1, just like the setting we have for the white eye material. Then hit the Assign button here. Okay. Next, we want to unhide all of the polygons. To do that, we can press Alt-H. Again, if you forget the shortcut, you can go to the Mesh menu, then Show Hide, and then click on this Reveal Hidden command. Okay, let's focus on the mouth area. Press 3 to go to the face mode. And just select all of these faces inside the mouth. Make sure none of them left behind. And just the same routine here. Create an empty slot, then a new material. Rename the material to monkey.mouth. Change the color to dark red. And then set the roughness value to around 0.8. Let's have a look at the material preview. Yeah, I think this looks okay. Let's click the Assign button. Now, we have all of the materials for the main monkey head model. Next, let's add a material for the head. Create an empty slot, then new material. Let's name this one metal.green. Because this is a metal, we need to max out the metallic value here to 1. Change the base color to green. For the roughness, I think I want to go with 0.3 this time. Let's see this in the preview. It looks very dark, but let's just assign this first to the head faces. We can fix it later if we need to. Hover over this area, press L, then hit Assign here. I think this material turned out to be nice. Next, let's add a red metal material for the nose. Now this time, I want to show you a different method of creating material. Instead of clicking the new material button, we can just duplicate this green metal material and then turn it into a red metal material. First, let me make some more room for our material index here. Create a new slot. Then, instead of clicking this new button, let's pick the existing metal.green material first. Then, we can duplicate this material by clicking on this button here. Now, currently, we have two different green metal materials, this one and this one. The new material is independent from this original material and vice versa. We want to have a red color for this new one. So let's rename this to metal.red. And then of course, we need to change the base color to red. I think slightly towards pink or purple would be better. Okay, I think this looks nice. Select the nose faces and then hit the Assign button. Okay. The last material that we want to create is the eyeglasses. Create a new slot and a new material. Rename it to eyeglasses. For the base color, just leave it as is. We don't want to have any roughness, so make this all the way to 0. And finally, we need to set the transmission value all the way to 1. Let's preview the material first. I think it looks good. Next, select the faces, and then assign the new material. Okay, now currently the eyeglasses material only reflecting the environment texture, but not the surrounding surfaces. Just as we discussed before, we need to turn on the screen space reflection and refraction. So open the render properties panel. We can see we have EV active here. Then turn on the screen space reflections here, and also the refraction option here. Next, go back to the material panel. Make sure we do have the eyeglasses material selected up here. Scroll down until we see the settings section, and then turn on the screen space refraction checkbox here. As you can see, the eyeglasses now refracting the objects behind it. After we have the materials, next, we need to create a camera and then render the scene to an image. To create a camera object, simply right-click and then choose Camera here. A new camera just created at the 3D cursor location. Next, let's find a good view angle, so we can align the camera object to the viewport. And to align the camera, press Ctrl, Alt, and 0 on the numpad. The camera view is now active, but you can see that parts of the object are out of frame. To fix this, we can use the Lock Camera to View method, so press N. Then in the View section, turn on this Lock Camera to View mode. With this mode on, we can pan the camera around using the Shift middle mouse button, or zoom in or out using the scroll wheel. Try to make the object fully in frame. Just take your time to find the best angle. After finished, we need to deactivate the Lock Camera to View mode just to be safe. Then press N to hide the sidebar, okay? Finally, we can move on to the rendering process. For the output size, we are going to use the default Full HD resolution. So we actually don't need to change anything here. The only thing that we need to do now is to prepare the light source. If we go to the rendered view mode, we can see the scene is quite dark. This is because, as we discussed earlier, we need actual light sources when rendering. We can use the EXR file that Blender used in the look dev mode for the light source. So go to the world panel, override the color parameter here with an environment texture. Click the open button here. Open the folder where you install Blender. Open the datafast folder, Studio Lights, and then World. Okay, now if you want to see the thumbnails of these EXR files, you can do so by clicking here and then choose Thumbnails. This way we can preview the files visually. Just as before, I will use this forest.exr file, but feel free to use any file that you like. Okay, now our scene is lit, but I still think this is too dark. We can fix this by adjusting the strength value here. If we increase this value, the scene will be brighter. Just find the value that you like. Next, we want to make the background becomes transparent. Go to the render panel. Let's close this for now. Down here, you can find the film section, and inside it, you can turn on this transparent option. Then to render the scene, just press F12. The image editor will show up with the rendering result. To save the result, click on the image menu here. Then save as. Give the image a name, monkey_render_001. And then make sure we use PNG format with alpha transparency. Basically, it is already the default, so we don't need to change anything. Click the save button. And we are done.